When I was a teenager, I would sit and think about being a millionaire. I'd be set, no more problems. And I was wrong. I mean, we all know the upsides. Money, respect, not thinking about menu prices at a restaurant. That's wonderful, but that's not what we're here to talk about. Because this 4 a.m. alpha male cold plunge grind set culture we have neglects to tell you the other side of things. This video is for 15-year-old me, the truth about being a millionaire. Everything I hate and how I solved those problems. Advice I wish I had years ago. Number one, you have to be incredibly selfish with your time. The freedom and experiences that you want to enjoy when you're rich are the very things that you have to sacrifice to be rich. It's weird. I spent years without seeing my family.
Hey, nobody's seen you in days.
I'm just gonna go and check my mail over there.
And I did that because I was way too busy building my business. Is that level of sacrifice necessary? Probably not. But I truly believed it was work or death. I didn't have a life in my late teens all the way through mid-20s. But the lie I told myself was that it's temporary. The reality is it only got more extreme. The more money you make, the more valuable your time becomes. You have employees relying on you, business decisions, opportunities to either say yes or no to, demands on your time. They just keep climbing and climbing and climbing. This means if unchecked, you have less time to spend on friends, family, vacations, everything that you want to do once you have success, which understandably upsets the people around you because they're like, what are you doing? You end up turning down everything that isn't like this perfect 10 out of 10 experience because you know the massive value of all the alternatives, all the exciting stuff that you could be doing and growing and whatever. Every minute, there's a choice being made, and you can't have it both ways. Talking to my younger self, I would recognize that there's no way around that sacrifice and being selfish with your time for success, and most people don't want that. But what you can do is schedule your freedom and schedule your family time, because in the long run, that can be just as important as the actual work. Number two, you have to love your torture. Most millionaires are weirdos. If you met them there, you're like, that guy's different. They don't live normal lives and usually have one singular obsession, making their business more successful. And I'm not talking about like your uncle whose 401k hit $1 million after 40 years, or some trust fund kid or inheritance kid. I'm talking about people who are actively making millions every year, like the top of their game. They work all the time. They fixate on solving problems, and they don't have a whole lot going on outside of exactly that. For them though, it's okay. That makes them happy. But for you, that might be awful. And that's okay too. On this, I'd show myself this advice. A lot of people's fantasies about being rich don't take this into account. Not all work is equal. You need to remember that, even within the context of being a business owner or CEO, whatever you call yourself on LinkedIn. As a business owner, I've done so many jobs I hate within that bubble. Like I've done accounting, customer relations, daily operations work. The list is endless of things that I don't like that are absolutely draining for me. But for years, I thought like, hey, that's just how it goes. That's just running a business. It's not. Eventually, I found the hard work I could not only tolerate, but look forward to doing every single day on repeat. And then I do more of that. And then I get better at that, so I want to do it even more. Brutally hard work is necessary no matter what. Most people don't want that. If you do though, find the brutal work you can tolerate. Number three, people treat you differently. There's two things that money can't buy: good relationships and good friends. Humans, we're these weird status-seeking animals.
It's a moose looking for pussy. It like gives you goosebumps.
And if you're successful, you benefit from this in a huge way. You benefit so many ways being a millionaire. This video isn't like, oh, poor me, millionaire, that kind of stuff. It's advice for the people on the come up, for like things that just aren't talked about. So there's so many benefits socially to being successful, but that doesn't mean that there aren't massive downsides that no one seems to be talking about. Because people start treating you differently when really you just want to be treated like a normal person. You're just a guy trying to figure out today's problems just like everyone else. Wealth doesn't mean that you're better than anyone. In fact, the best, nicest people typically aren't the most wealthy, unfortunately. But since becoming a millionaire myself, people typically treat me two ways: that I'm somehow better than them because I have more money, or that I'm a money-making opportunity for them. This happened recently. I was at the gym and someone recognized me. He came up, he seemed, friendly enough. It turned out though that he knew someone that I was interested in meeting, so he made the connection. I met that connection and proceeded to have an incredibly awkward conversation because the dude from the gym promised this connection guy that I'd be interested in promoting his company, and the gym guy wanted a cut on the deal. Meanwhile, I was just interested in talking to someone interesting, and I didn't even know there was a deal on the table. It's strange that these kinds of things happen. So many people either act weird around you or just pitch you the world's worst business ideas all the time, nonstop, because they're like, hey, you could do something with this and I can make money and just sit back. I don't know, something like that. That is why a lot of people, when they get successful, end up having very few friends or stick with their childhood friends, which that part's actually kind of cool. But my only advice here is to trust your gut. You can tell when you're in the presence of a snake. Just trust that. This sucks. I can confidently say you don't want this. It's way better when people just treat you normally because all you want is good relationships and good friends, two things that money can't buy. Number 4, everything gets more expensive even when it shouldn't. The more money you make, the more the world wants to suck you dry, in a bad way. Sometimes also in a good way. I call it Maher's Law. Now, most people, they're their own worst enemies here. You see it all the time with pro sports players. They blow up, they make millions of dollars, they spend it all, and then they just end their careers with nothing. Boom, Maher's Law got them. I started doing this. I started going down this lane when I was around 20 years old. I scaled my moving company across multiple states within the US and brought in $1.8 million in revenue that year. So I decided, time to buy a Maserati. Love those cars, time to buy them. Mistake. Guess what? I don't care about cars. So why would I need any kind of fancy car? Maher's Law. That's why. And not only will your own temptations suck you dry, but so will everyone else. Again, in a bad way. When I was in my teens doing these mental calculations of how much money I'd take home in the future when I was wealthy, my math was so wrong. I assumed everything was just gonna cost me the same, and that was basing all my calculations on oh, my expenses are this and whatever. No, it doesn't work that way. Before you know it, everyone starts charging you more for the exact same stuff. Want to get your taxes done? It used to be $200. Now it's slightly more complicated. Let's make it $12,000. Hire some basic legal work. I don't know, 10 grand. With almost everyone you work with, you eventually are put in this place where you either have to just pay them insane amounts of money or you have to put your foot down and say the f is this? You can't just increase prices 300% from last year.
Just an inch, hardly at all.
And guess what? Almost always they say something to the effect of oh yeah, sorry, what about this price? That's way lower. It's constant. I always cringe when I hear stories about celebrities who have this team of managers and lawyers all taking their 10% fees. The more money you make, the more the world and your own temptations will try and suck you dry. Number 5, millions don't mean anything to banks. Banks literally do not care if you're a millionaire. When you spend all your time working to make money and you're thinking about money and working finances, it's easy to think that this would give you access to better deals from banks, awesome service, opportunities. It doesn't work that way. Banks treat you the exact same. A banking relationship that helps a little bit, but they're all essentially using the same algorithms, processes, same BS, same terrible customer service. I'm not saying they should treat millionaires like some kind of elite princes or something like that, but you'd be surprised that there's literally no significant difference. There's times where you're you would make so much money just doing this deal.
A great trade deal.
What is going on? Even if you get a private banker, I'm telling you, it makes no difference. Now, if you're a billionaire, that's a different story. Banks will literally suck your toes if you ask. Number 6, it's hard to relate to people. Being a millionaire turns most people into loners. Millionaires all tend to believe one thing, that the world is rigged in their favor. If you pay attention to the decisions that successful people make, most have this excessive self-belief when it comes to pursuing ideas and just conquering problems that are in front of them. But if you are one of these successful people, this has a downside. It makes it harder to relate to just about everyone else. The average person doesn't think this way. They want security, stability, they want to have perfect data before making any decisions, and generally worry about things that millionaires don't tend to worry about. I'm not saying that one is better than the other. I'm just saying that if you are a millionaire, you probably have this life rigged in my favor mindset. And that can make it hard to relate to someone that doesn't have this. And this is something that I really struggled with when I was younger. Like, I literally just wanted friends to chat with who were thinking the same things as me. I would force myself to just fit into groups that I shouldn't have. Later, I learned it's better to just be on your own wavelength, have fewer friends, and then open up only to the ones who truly resonate with you. And you can tell when that happens. That's why I always try to respond to people who message me, especially on Discord, because I know what it's like to not have that. Number 7, people incorrectly think they should copy you. You shouldn't copy millionaires, yet people constantly are trying to do this. You see like the day in the life kind of thing. I lived a life like Elon Musk. Here's the secret to becoming a millionaire. Get a great opportunity and then work to make the most of that opportunity. The process is literally the same for every millionaire. It's just the opportunity that changes. I got the opportunity to buy a moving company with my savings. I then worked for years to scale that thing nationally. I then took that money and put it into the next opportunity. Another guy that I know, he made hundreds of thousands of dollars at a super young age by buying pennies in bulk and selling the collectible ones at a markup. I would have never thought of that, but he saw it and he was like, wait a minute, you're telling me I can buy money and then sell that money for more money? I probably would lose money if I tried to copy him now because that was an opportunity. Yet we have this tendency to just like find successful people and immediately copy their habits, their morning routines, their stock picks, because, hey, they must know something that we don't. Wrong. I mean, good habits do help, but all the good habits in the world won't turn a bad opportunity into a good one. What everyone needs is to keep their opportunity antenna active. Opportunities are everywhere. Find a great one, verify that it's great with as much data as you can, and then work hard on that idea for longer than you want to. That's it. So younger me thought that being a millionaire had 0 downsides. I was wrong, and that's fine, because for me, it's a price I'm willing to pay.